As we continue in team assessment, we're now going to look at actual selling skills, and this will require observation. These will be data points we have to collect while on appointments, while observing our salespeople. I would encourage you get as involved as you need to from the beginning of the process all the way through to the end of the sales process to make sure you don't miss glaring things that can be corrected relatively quickly to improve sales revenues. So let's get started. By the end of this lesson, we will have observed our rep selling skills, and we will assess our rep selling skills, and we will prepare the first one-on-one for coaching. Again, we want to make sure we walk into that first meeting with actual constructive feedback about the direction we want to take this sales rep. Just like a coach with an athlete, we want to assess and make sure that we're coming to the table from the very first and say, here's the direction we want to go. Now, if you don't get everything captured in the first meeting, you can always reassess that later with the rep and say, hey, I've also discovered these other things that we need to work on. Mostly strengths, but also to shore up some of the weaknesses. So here is a list of tactical sales abilities, and you may want to add some of your own to the list. But this is from the start to the finish of the sales process, areas that we want to evaluate that I'll go into detail on. Again, feel free to add others that apply maybe just to your industry or to something that your company values in your sales people's sales skill abilities on the tactical level. So let's talk about each one of those in detail as to what we're actually looking for. So we want to be able to warm up the calls, the prospecting calls, whether this is through email, whether this is specifically on phone calls, but anytime we are making the reach out to a client, a cold call is going to be successful much less than 5%. I think the actual numbers, if there's such a thing, is in the 3% range. And the reason those are successful is just timing. So you don't want to be just standing out on the corner swinging a dead cat hoping you hit somebody that's timing it happens to be up from contract, or they just are frustrated with the current provider of some sort, whatever you represent, your competitor, and you just happen to strike while the iron's hot. That's not going to be a high probability of success. So part of what we have to do is, later we'll talk about getting an actual high probability list of clients or prospects that would be good clients. But for right now, what we're talking about is observing what your reps are already working on. How do they go about warming up the leads they're working on to make sure that these are higher probability candidates based on what they're calling about? Maybe they're attacking a specific industry for that day, and they want to talk about a certain aspect of their product that will bring some benefit to their company. And you're usually probing at this point, looking for an opening that is qualified and leads to the first appointment. So how are they going about warming up the calls? Do they have the business acumen and business intelligence to warm this call up? Or are they just kind of floundering and just trying to meet? How much can they qualify during the first call? So you're looking, what is the rep's process? Then we're talking, nowadays, phone solicitation is so much less used and it's blocked. There's a lot of technologies. I come from the telecommunication industry, so I can tell you I've seen the technology firsthand that blocks and screens a lot of the calls. So there's other ways now that we have to try to get to our prospects to say, hey, we've got something you might need. A lot of that's now done through email and LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn as a referral base to where I can look at somebody's LinkedIn connections and I can see who are they connected to that I'm trying to connect to. And again, I'm looking at existing clients that we've done a good job for. There's nothing that speaks louder to a new prospect than a walk-in where somebody's saying, hey, you should talk to these guys. They helped me out. They can help you out. That kind of introduction is very valuable. It's invaluable. But this day and age, we have to rely more on email. We have to understand from our networking group what's causing problems at that company today, and can we craft an email that hooks them with the subject line, and that once we've got the subject line hooked, are we actually speaking to them on areas that we can help, that they need help? It doesn't do you any good to say, I can help you in all these areas where you feel like you've got things covered. That doesn't do anybody any good. You want to hit them where they actually are in pain right now, and you can make that pain go away. So again, building the hook is key. That takes business intelligence. Referrals are also a big help in this area. Qualifying. So you want to first use the company sales process. You don't want to be out of alignment with the organization on how your team does so well, but they do it completely different. Unless you can prove to the company ahead of time that your process will work and your qualification process needs to be the company qualification process. That's way beyond the scope of this course. I'm not going to get into the politics that's required to deal with that and working your way through navigating through HR and upper management to show them that there's a better way to do something and that they need to change processes. What I will say is qualifying wins the day. You've got to be able to understand that just because somebody's willing to meet, there actually has to be a reason to meet, or you're just driving around or meeting online on Teams or Zoom and just wasting your time. You want to have something to show for the time that was invested with a prospect. So qualifying and being able to ask the right questions are key. And if your folks don't have the right questions, maybe early on you need to arm them with the right questions. But more importantly, you're looking, can they hear the actual qualification, or are they just going to take a meeting to meet? That will help you assess their qualifying skills early, but you've got to be observing it. Remember the anti-qualifier strategy, just meeting to meet. I can call 15 people and set 5 appointments. Well, that's a good ratio, but if those 5 appointments are completely unqualified and you just promise somebody to go to lunch, did you really qualify anything and find an opportunity? The subject side, the subjective, there's a big subjective side to this skill. And this is where you can get a little bit frustrated with your power qualifiers. There are people in your office that can qualify better than anybody else. And when you meet somebody that's a power qualifier, you will be amazed at the skill and the intuition that they have. And that's the subjective side of this. They can get to an intuitive side that you can't get to. So at times you're going to feel like there's an opportunity in a deal that they can unqualify in their own mind. Now, sometimes your power qualifiers just they have a better job of looking at the big picture and saying, look, there's so much opportunity out there that if I really don't see that this can close fast, I don't want to mess with it. Okay, now we're getting into personality. But most of the time, the power qualifiers can sniff something out that they just can't quite put a finger on. But in talking to the prospect, they've heard something that maybe they're picking up on this person saying they're the signer or the decision maker in a process that they're not. And while this is hard to teach, it's all about how many times have they gone through a qualifying process, and that they are learning from each time they lose a deal or find out that, I went down this path about 3 times and I'm just wasting my time. This person's just stringing me along. And once they learn what the things they're looking for, I relate this to trying to hit a curveball in the Major League Baseball world. That the really good curveball hitters, they see a flicker in the laces of the baseball, that they've got such good eyesight that they can pick up on that flicker and they know where the ball is going to be. You can't see a Major League fastball or curveball all the way into your bat. Like they say, watch the ball to your bat when you're in Little League. In the major leagues, that's impossible to do. And the reason these guys can hit those curveballs and fastballs is they see a flicker in the laces that they just intuitively have picked up on, overseen so many of those pitches over time that they know what that flicker looks like, and they're able to put the bat right where that curveball is going to land. This is what I would relate to a power qualifier. They're going to see things that even 95% of your reps can't see. So when you've got a power qualifier on your team that can see through that, they're going to frustrate you because they're going to walk away from deals you think there's an opportunity in, but really what's going on is they understand there's really not at the end of that deal. So I've talked a lot about qualifying. Let's move on to networking skills. How deep is your reps network? This is important. You should investigate their LinkedIn. How much of their network are they leveraging? Who are they talking to? What reps that are adjacent to their industry or even outside their industry? Like I said, I was in telecommunications. I had reps that would network with copier people. They had their own reasons and strategies around that. And as long as they can justify those strategies to who they're networking with and it makes sense, support it. But encourage them to always be growing that network. Your LinkedIn network, your just overall networking skills matter, and they're going to bring you more deals and help you qualify more deals, help you get in from a referral standpoint better than anything else. Plus, being able to have inside baseball knowledge of what's going on at a company from one of your networking partners helps you tap things that the client maybe didn't think you would know about. And again, we're not trying to manipulate, but being able to speak to those things and position your products and services around their needs is what they need. And if you are hitting on the right cylinders for them, that gets you a qualified meeting. So how often are your reps meeting with their network? Are they doing it one-on-one? Are they doing it in big groups? This is something you should be observing. How are they going about networking? Who are they talking to? How are they working together? Are they just getting together for coffee just to tell jokes? Or are they actually trying to pinpoint, hey, what have you heard about this company? Hey, I'm working on this prospect. What have you heard about them? How can I get in there? Usually these kind of one-on-one meetings are about talking about those large whales that they want to land. They probably have a good base of small accounts, a good base of mid-enterprise accounts, and then they're attacking a smaller base of enterprise accounts. And they're trying to slowly build a database of what's going on at that company so that I can try to position my product and service to get a beachhead strategy in there. That's typically what you should see from your reps in that. And do they refer their network into their own customers? How much do I trust you will be shown if I'm willing to walk you into my customer. That's a pretty big trust level. And that also should then reciprocate that you trust me to walk me into your customers. But if they're not, and they're not picking up on that, that's again a qualifying effort. If they're not picking up on the fact that sometimes they've got a networking partner that just won't walk them in, well, are they at least giving you good detail, and can you trust the detail they're giving you? Referral skills. This one is 100 different ways to slice this. I don't like to see reps doing a broad request. The one referral tip I'll give you is have your reps not going in and just saying, who do you know in the whole wide world that you could walk me into as a referral? That's the worst way you can go about this. It's too big. People aren't thinking when you say, who can you introduce me to? Pin it down for them. You got to make things easy on your prospects and clients. So the way to do referrals is to be very specific and very targeted. Have a referral already in mind when you go to them. Hey, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, we took really good care of you on this thing, this service, this product that we offer. Would you be willing to walk me into Bob down the street at XYZ company to show him? I see you're connected to him. Would you be willing to make an introduction to me? I'm not asking you to do any more than that. If they're willing to say and give a testimonial to what you did for them, great. All I'm looking for is, hey, would you please meet with my sales rep that did a really good job for me here? That's all you're looking for. Make it easy on them. If they're willing to send an email, write the email for them. Let them, here, I'm going to send you the email. You just have to cut and paste, agree to the language, and send it on your way. I'm not even going to make you type it up. Make it easy. Objection handling. Preparation is key. You should know every day the likely objections you're going to face in what you sell. You should know them inside and out by now. If you're new from a sales rep perspective, that's understandable. You're going to learn quickly because they're going to come at you often. And you've got to know how to properly deal with those, how to set them aside, how to overcome them, how to gather them all up and make sure, look, let me make sure I understand all the things that keep us from doing business together. Let's get them all out on the table. And that way you can go one by one and address them and drill through them. But you need to follow whatever your company uses for objection handling in your sales process. You should have a specific, there's a number of ways to do objection handling. I like where you do the set aside method and you come back to it and you address it. It gives you time to think about it, make sure and make sure you're not uncovering any others. Don't worry about what the set-aside method is. You can look it up online if you want. I'm not here to do a sales training. I'm doing a sales management training. But what you want to make sure you're doing is following whatever your company process is for objection handling. It's probably well thought out. Most sales processes are. And it's probably going to fit in better with other ways you handle your sales process from start to finish. So make sure you're following your company objection handling process. But you need to practice these in sales training to get really good at them. And you need to throw all the objections out there, even the crazy ones. If you hear it at any time on any sales call, it's got to go into the training so that everybody knows how to easily handle it. Ability to move deals forward. Now, this was partially in your data collection, your data points that you looked at in the assess section, but in an earlier section. What we're looking at here is we're trying to observe why are these deals either moving forward or not moving forward. You may find a hidden strength here, and you may want to bring that out in sales training. But are they asking questions that should be natural to the prospect to get things moving forward? This goes from, can we agree to meet? When you're in prospecting, moving it to a sales meeting. Walking the prospect through that process of, can we agree that you want to see a proposal from me? Would it be okay for me to get you a proposal? Some people, we're getting into sales training because some people like to do how they ask these questions differently from what I'm offering up here. Follow your company sales process. But are they asking to move the deal forward? You want to improve moving from stage 1 to stage 2 by at least a percentage point. You want to see improvement in that. You want to see 100% that we can go from stage 1 to stage 2 100% of the time. That's the goal, or that's the dream. But if I can improve it 20%, it lowers the level of activity really needed to be a successful rep if they're already successful with their current ratios. We're just trying to go through each stage and improve the percentage in each stage. That's what we want to do. And part of that comes with, how are they getting that moving forward? Where are they falling apart? Where are they not better prepared? Where are they not asking the right questions? And we're looking at each stage on where are they moving the deal forward. And this should be a habit that by the time they get to the closing, that they're okay and comfortable asking for the business, because they've been comfortable asking the questions all the way along with the prospect and soon to be client. So where is the rep's deals getting stuck? You've got those data points. That's where you've got to dial in when you're watching the rep, when you're observing the rep through this process. Really dial in where their deals are getting stuck and see if you can figure out what the challenge is. Maybe they just need to tweak a little bit versus throw out everything and start over. There's probably just some tweaking that needs to go on in their process or their questions to really get things moving forward a little bit quicker in certain areas. Listening skills. And observing will test yours. But is the rep using open-ended questions? Are they getting stuck in habits of yes-no questions? Are they letting the prospect answer? Now, in fairness to reps, they have to carry a number of conversations, especially if you sell to technical folks who are introverts. If your prospect decision makers are primarily introverted, sometimes your sales reps have to carry a lot of conversations. They have to carry phone calls. They have to carry the meeting. There's a lot of empty space that they have to fill. And now we're saying, you've asked a question. Your habit is to keep talking. I need you to shut up. I need you to be quiet and give room for an answer to occur. That's a habit they're going to have to practice. Are they doing that? And when they're listening, are they really listening? Are they really hearing the right things? This more gets into an aptitude level thing. And if they have an aptitude challenge, you have to help them understand what it is they're listening for. Or you have to say, hey, at this point, you need to take your engineer on your calls. And when it gets to this point of the meeting, just let your engineer start answering the questions and asking the questions. That might be a good solution for an aptitude rep. But they have to be okay in uncomfortable silences. They got to get used to that and just listen to the prospect. And also, are they chasing shiny objects? In our sales process that I was in, It was very common for a rep to be in a meeting and a prospect just throws something up about a project they're working on that has nothing to do with why we're meeting. It's just on their mind, and they're like, I've got to get back to this thing. And the rep hears that thing, and now they understand there's revenue for them associated with that project, potentially. And now they want to chase after that. Are they following the agenda and staying with it? You can make a note about this shiny object and come back to it. But what you don't want to do is be the squirrel that starts chasing the shiny object. You've got to stay on point with your agenda. You can always come back to the bigger thing or what you think is the bigger thing. Don't chase that. And that's part of listening skills. So presentation skills. Does your rep read the presentation? Do they just sit there and read it? Does the rep just read the presentation? That's distraction. You don't want that. You don't need the rep distracting the presentation. They need to be, you can follow the 3x3, which is 3 bullet points and 3 words, or the 4x4, no more than 4 bullet points and 4 words across any bullet point. They can build their presentations. You want to be able to review those before they show them to a client. But they need to be practiced in this. You can practice your presentation skills and your reps' presentation skills in sales training. Have somebody have to build a presentation to present to you, the fake client, and in a sales training. Have them come in prepared and ready to do it. They will hate this, and have them do it in front of their peers. They'll be super nervous. They will hate this more than anything else, but it will get them to where they'll understand this is a muscle they can exercise and get better at very quickly. Most reps will be very strong in this area. They will just be very nervous because they're not used to getting up in front of their peers. But it's really no different than them sitting there and doing role playing in front of their peers. They're just role playing standing up in front of a projector slide instead. Get them comfortable with that, and it'll start rolling off. Once they get into the role, you'll find some habits that they have that need to be corrected. But for the most part, I find that reps can be very good at presentations and presentation skills, but they're usually not practiced in them. They just show up and do their thing, and they haven't had time to get really good and do this. So make sure the presentation is built well. Make sure, again, you're reviewing these things before they go out in public. So creative selling. So let the reps get creative in closing the deal. We don't want any unethical creative selling. But when the rep hears a challenge, let them try to come up with a solution to overcome the challenge. I find sales reps in general, I'm going to stereotype for a second, are some of the most creative people on the planet I've ever met. They really think in a very creative way that I've always been quite envious of. Let them create. If they get stuck or they start going, they're pivoting around trying to figure out a way to be creative, and then they land on something that's unethical, just back them up. Let them know, hey, we can't go down that path. Stay back on these other paths where you were good. But let them get creative in how they're trying to think about things. I've had reps that have created new types of discounts, new types, and again, not price selling, but where they're backloading something or front loading. And again, we run it by finance to make sure it's going to work for the company. It's going to work for billing. We don't want to, just create some nonsense that nobody can keep up with. We don't want to break the downstream system, but let them get creative in trying to come up with things. Again, as long as they're staying ethical, I love letting reps exercise their creative side. So do they understand what the customer's real objection is? When there's an objection raised, are they really hearing it? Creative selling allows them to come back and say, here's what I think I heard. Let me restate it to you and show you this solution that I've created for you. And they're like, well, that doesn't solve anything. You're not understanding what I'm really trying to attack here. Well, great. Help me understand where this misses. Get them in a dialogue with the customer to try to come up with a creative way of selling the service that they're trying to close on. And are they helping the customer solve the real objection? So when they're going through their creative selling process, really, are they doing that? Or are they just trying to get the deal? Well, I'll waive this or discount that, and they're not really hearing what the objection is. I'll just throw them a free month of service if you bill monthly. Well, did that solve the objection, or are you just lowering the price? This is where they've got to have, when you're looking at their creative selling, this is kind of pairing it with listening skills. What you're observing, are they doing those things? And this is where you can help them in what you're observing. So in conclusion, we've now assessed our reps' tactical selling skills. It was a big list. And this should highlight some coaching areas that are both strengths and weaknesses. And again, I encourage you start coaching strengths first. It gets your rep involved in the process and keeps them involved. They want to shine at this. They want to shine at what they do. So coach up their strengths. Shore up the weaknesses, but coach the strengths. So your action plan for this lesson is to complete the worksheet for the rep skill assessment. So let me pull that sheet up so that you can see what this looks like. Not looking for anything crazy here. You can there's a Word document if you want to edit and add some of your own skills that you want to assess. But we want to evaluate on each sheet another rep and go through and say, can they do these things? And if you haven't assessed them, then just leave it blank until you get an assessment of it. But keep this on file for their first one-on-one so that you've got something to point back to and say, here's what I've witnessed, here's what I've observed watching you sell, and that way you don't have to go digging through your notes. It's all right here on one sheet of paper for you.